Okay, let's just jump right in today. We are talking about, well, arguably the most unhinged, high-octane action movie of the 1990s.
Oh, maybe of all time.
Maybe of all time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also probably the most philosophically confusing one.
That is a big claim. But
Yeah.
I mean, considering the movie has Nicolas Cage dressed as a priest, sort of dancing to the Hallelujah chorus while things explode around him,
Yeah.
I think unhinged is probably the correct clinical term, yeah.
We are, of course, doing a deep dive into the 1997 John Woo classic, Face Off.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if you haven't seen it, you really should. Just pause this, go watch it, come back. We're about to spoil everything.
Everything.
But more importantly, we're unpacking a critique that argues this is not just some dumb action movie. It claims this is a masterpiece of identity, of performance, and, believe it or not, deep emotional trauma.
It's a bold stance, for sure. Most people just remember, the doves and slow motions. Yeah. And the memes. So many memes. But the analysis we're looking at today suggests that under all that style, there is a surprisingly complex engine running on themes of duality and, well, the very nature of self.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to figure out if Face Off is actually a work of genius, or if we've all just been collectively hallucinating for the past 30 years.
I'm ready to make the case for genius.
Mostly.
Mostly. Okay, we'll get to the mostly part later. But first, we have to start with the premise. Because even for the 90s, this plot is absolute bananas.
It really is. The setup is just archetype versus archetype. You have Sean Archer, played by John Travolta, and he's the ultimate super ego.
Right. Law, family man, completely rigid, obsessed.
And then on the other side, you have Castor Troy, played by Nicolas Cage.
Who is pure Ed.
Exactly. Chaos, terrorism, that fashion sense, the golden guns. He is just having a great time being evil.
And usually that's it, right? Good guy chases bad guy. But Face Off takes this sharp left turn into, body horror. The critique we're looking at highlights this specifically.
It does. The mechanism isn't just a disguise. It's not a Mission Impossible rubber mask.
No. And this is so crucial to why the movie, actually works. It is surgery. It is visceral, bloody medical surgery. And the critique points out that by making it a physical face swap, the movie grounds its own absurdity in something tactile.
Grounded. Come on.
Yeah.
They have a laser that cuts faces off like they're peeling an orange.
Okay. The science is absolute nonsense. Let's just be clear about that.
Right.
But the stakes are grounded. If this were like a magical spell or a hologram, it wouldn't have the same weight. The fact that Archer has to physically lose his face, literally have his identity carved off his skull, that creates a level of violation you just don't get in other action movies.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
It's invasive. The critique says each man tries to live as the other. But it's more than that, isn't it?
Much more.
It's not just living as them. It's like you're trapped in their meat.
That's a terrifying way to put it, but yeah, it's true. You're looking in the mirror and you see the face of the monster that killed your son.
Yeah.
That is the psychological horror part that the critique argues elevates the film. It turns the whole second act into this tense battle of identity and mind games.
So let's unpack mind games.
Yeah.
Because that usually means, clever dialogue or chess moves. Here, the mind game is just existing.
Right. Just think about that scene where Travolta, who is now actually the villain, Castor Troy, is in that crazy prison.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just trapped in a cell, he's trapped in the hero's reputation.
Yeah.
He can't prove he's the bad guy because he looks like the good guy.
And meanwhile, the actual bad guy, wearing the good guy's face, is sleeping in the good guy's bed.
And that's where the mind games get really disturbing. The critique notes this battle of identity isn't just professional, it becomes domestic. The villain literally infiltrates the hero's private life. He's charming his wife, he's parenting his rebellious daughter.
That part always creeps me out. It's so uncomfortable to watch.
It's supposed to be. And that is where the unique concept really shines. In any other movie, the villain threatens the family by, kidnapping them.
Sure, the usual stuff.
Here, he threatens the family by becoming the father. He destroys the family from the inside out.
He weaponizes intimacy.
Precisely. And that's why the critique claims this concept still feels original today. We have plenty of movies about clones or multiverses now, but the sheer intimacy of physically stealing someone's life, that's still so rare.
Okay, but a concept is only as good as its execution. You could have the wildest idea, but if the actors can't sell it...
It's just a bad SNL sketch.
Exactly. And this is where we have to talk about the brilliant dual acting that our source mentions. because this entire movie lives or dies on Travolta and Cage.
It's such a high-wire act. If they slip even a little bit, the whole thing falls apart. The audience just checks out.
Yeah.
So the critique uses the phrase, perfectly imitate each other's style. But I think we need to dig into what that actually looks like on screen. It's not just, doing an impression.
Right, it's not a caricature. It's more like a Matryoshka doll of acting.
Explain that.
You've got Nicolas Cage, then inside him, you have the character Castor Troy, then inside that, you have Sean Archer trying his best to act like Castor Troy.
It's dizzying, but look at the specific choices they make. Think about when Travolta's playing the villain. He stops walking like John Travolta. He gets this loose, slinky, almost predatory walk, and his eye, he starts doing these manic, wide-eyed stares that are pure Cage.
And the laugh. He adopts that totally unhinged, cackling laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But then you flip it. Look at Cage when he becomes the hero.
This is actually my favorite part of the whole film. Cage, who we know for being so loud and expressive, he just collapses inward.
Yeah, he does.
He adopts Travolta's heaviness, the shoulders slump. He starts speaking in this tortured, breathless whisper. He just looks tired.
It's so true. He looks like he's carrying the weight of the world. There's that scene where he cries, Cage crying, and it doesn't feel like Cage rage. It just feels like a broken photo.
It's a masterclass in mimicry the critique is talking about. It's not just their voices, it's their emotional cadence. It feels like they actually swapped souls.
I read somewhere that they spent weeks just watching each other's dailies to dial this in.
Really?
Like, Travolta would watch what Cage did the day before and then try to match that energy.
It shows, and it connects right back to that theme of mind games. For the audience, you're constantly having to recalibrate. You see Travolta's face, so your brain says hero, but then he does something sadistic, and your brain has to catch up. It creates this cognitive dissonance that keeps you completely glued to the screen.
It's brilliant. But let's be honest, it's also incredibly campy. I mean, we're praising all this nuance, but this is also a movie where Travolta licks his own face in a mirror.
Oh, absolutely. It's operatic. And that is the perfect segue to talk about the director, John Woo, because you cannot separate the acting from the world it exists in.
The world of heroic bloodshed.
Exactly. The critique highlights the visual style, specifically the slow motion and dramatic gunfights. But just calling it style almost feels like an undersell. John Woo doesn't just shoot action, he choreographs ballet with ballistics.
It's that gun fu aesthetic. Everything is a dance.
And notice how the critique calls the film a fast-paced action thriller, yet it relies so heavily on slow motion.
That seems like a contradiction, doesn't it?
It does. Slow motion literally slows the pace down. But paradoxically, it makes it feel more intense. It forces you to look at the details, the way the coat flaps, the sparks flying off the guns.
The debris.
It creates this mythological quality. When you see Cage walking out of a plane in slow-mo with the wind and the golden guns, he looks like a titan, a Greek god of chaos. John Woo isn't interested in realism. He's interested in emotion. The violence isn't just violence, it's an externalization of their internal conflict.
That's very poetic. But does it justify the doves? There are always doves.
The doves are a signature. In Woo's visual language, they represent the soul or peace, usually right before it gets shattered by gunfire. It's a visual metaphor.
Or maybe he just thinks birds look cool in slow-mo.
It can be two things. But this all contributes to the atmosphere mentioned in our analysis. The stylish action scenes aren't just there to be cool. They are narratively consistent. The world of Face Off is a heightened reality. It's a world where emotions are so big they have to be expressed through dual-wielding pistols.
Which brings us to the friction point. Because you have this high art, operatic style, colliding with a plot that involves a magnetic boot prison on an oil rig.
Ah, Erewhon prison, yes.
The critique points out weak points, and specifically calls some scenes over the top and unrealistic. And I have to side with the skeptics here. The prison scenes. The magnetic boots. It feels like we jumped from a psychological thriller into a Saturday morning cartoon.
I will concede that the prison sequence tests the limits of your suspension of disbelief. It is goofy, there's no other word for it.
It's totally absurd. You have this deep emotional story about a father losing his son, and then suddenly, clank, clank, clank magnetic boots. Doesn't that undermine the serious themes?
That is the million-dollar question. Does the absurdity kill the emotion? The critique argues that, despite being unrealistic and having a slightly long runtime, the emotional angle remains strong.
But how? How can you take it seriously when the science is just that bad?
Because the characters take it seriously. That's the secret sauce. Neither Travolta nor Cage ever winks at the camera. Even when they are doing the most ridiculous things, they are playing it with this Shakespearean conviction.
So their sincerity just overrides the stupidity.
In a way, yes. The critique focuses on family and loss as central themes. Think about that scene where Archer, wearing Troy's face, is telling the story of his son's death to the villain's girlfriend and son.
That's a surprisingly quiet scene for this movie.
And it's heartbreaking. He's reliving his own trauma while pretending to be the man who caused it, and he's comforting the son of his enemy. That is a knot of complex emotion that you just don't find in, Con Air or The Rock.
It's true. You forget about the magnetic boots in that moment because you're watching a man try to bond with this kid who is basically his enemy's legacy.
Exactly. The strong emotional angle holds the entire movie together. Without it, the over-the-top action would just be noise. With it, the action becomes a crusade. Archer isn't just fighting to get his face back, he's fighting to reclaim his soul and protect his family from this infection.
I guess that's why the runtime, which the critique flags as slightly long, doesn't bother me as much. You need that time to let the family dynamic breathe.
Right.
If it was just 90 minutes of shooting, you wouldn't get that scene where the daughter accidentally shoots her father.
Spoilers. But yes, that moment is pivotal. And it only works because the movie took the time to set up all that confusion. The tense battle of identity culminates in that moment where the family literally cannot tell who is who.
So, okay, we've got the acting, the style, the emotion, the absurdity. When we put this all into a blender, what's the verdict?
The critique is overwhelmingly positive. It calls it a classic 90s action movie. Exciting, emotional, and unforgettable.
And the score?
A rock-solid 8.5 out of 10.
That feels right. It's not a perfect movie. That prison scene keeps it from being a 10 for me. But it's a perfect experience.
I think that's the key distinction. It succeeds because of that unique concept and just the audacity to commit to it fully. It manages to be both high camp and high art at the same time.
It's the Barbenheimer of 1997. It contains multitudes.
That is one way to put it.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. The relevance. The critique says it still feels original today. But I'd argue it feels more relevant today than it even did in 97.
How so?
Well, think about it. We live in a world of deepfakes now. We live in a world where you can curate a digital avatar that looks just like you but acts differently, or, looks like someone else entirely. The idea of identity theft has moved from being financial to being existential.
That is a fascinating connection. In the movie, the swap is physical flesh and blood. Today, it's digital. But the question remains the same. If I can copy your face, your voice, your mannerisms, what is left of you that is unique?
Exactly. If an AI can mimic your style perfectly, just like Cage mimics Travolta, are you replaceable?
Face Off asks us to believe that there is a soul underneath the face that can't be copied. Archer's love for his family is something Castor Troy can't replicate no matter how good the surgery is. Troy can mimic the dad jokes, but he can't mimic the love.
So in the end, the movie is an argument for the human soul.
An argument for the soul delivered via a Golden Desert Eagle pistol in slow motion.
Which is the best way to deliver any philosophical argument, really.
I couldn't agree more.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. Watch Face Off again. But this time, don't just watch for the explosions. Watch the eyes, watch the hands, watch the way these two actors deconstruct themselves and then rebuild each other. And then ask yourself, if someone took your face, would your friends even know the difference?
That is a haunting thought to leave on.
I try my best. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Keep your face on straight, everyone.
And we'll see you in the next one.